So before we jump back into the lecture, let's take a second. We'll talk about these team presentations. Again, I talked to the Monday group. You may have seen on the video lecture from Monday from last week. But I want to kind of restate it to you guys in person. My goal with the presentations is several things. One, I want to give you a chance to make some additional points that are different than having taken an exam. Some people don't do well on exams and they do better on presentations. Second, I want to get you more comfortable standing in front of an audience and presenting. And the only way to do that is to practice. And so you'll have a chance to stand up and present and practice that. The actual format of the presentation, I'm less concerned about. This book covers basically everything in business. So it's kind of wide open. We can find anything we want to in regards to content. So, one of the format, you can kind of go a couple different ways. You can have a traditional format like I do, where you have PowerPoints, maybe on this TV or whatever, and you and your partner are kind of clicking through the PowerPoints, explaining some business concept that's like interesting to you, maybe providing a story, an example, maybe an activity to the class, something like that. That's a pretty traditional style of presentation. Or you might want to try to do something more non-traditional. You could do like a skit. You could do really anything. You could do I heard one of my other classes talk about maybe doing a game show, So there's kind of different ways we could go with it. The Monday guys didn't really have a strong opinion one way or the other, but I wanted to at least have that conversation and see what you guys thought about kind of two things. One, at least initially saying, what style do we want to try to let both styles be an option, that sort of thing. So what are your guys' thoughts on the format side at least?
I'm more of a traditional PowerPoint.
Okay.
But I'm game for either style.
Okay. So maybe leave it open, in your opinion, leave it open for people to choose whichever one they want. Because what I put up here was, if we leave it open for both, the traditional style expectation would be for you to go a little deeper into more book concepts, because you're not spending as much time on, writing scripts and how I'm dressed and, whatever. You have a little bit more time to dig a little bit deeper into the content. If you do a more creative approach, then I think the expectation would be you don't necessarily have to go quite as deep. Still need to convey book concepts, even if it's kind of a quirky sort of way to convey it. There still needs to be some book concepts in there, but doesn't quite have to be as deep. Does that seem fair to you guys? Okay. So then moving on beyond that, some of the other things that I put down that I've experienced from having other students give presentations. One is I don't like to set a minimum or maximum length. I feel like when you have to hit a length, a lot of times you'll end up putting filler into your presentation that really no one wants to hear. It doesn't make it a better presentation, it just makes it longer. And I don't want that content in there. I want the content to be simply connected to the message that you guys are trying to convey. So, and then on the minimum length side, if you don't put in a lot of effort, it's going to become clear. Because you're going to stand up here and present, and yours is going to be 2 minutes long, and other people's going to be 10 minutes long. So the length will take care of itself if you just be more focused on what message do I want to say, what concepts do I want to portray. And then I do want visual aids, because I do want you to be forced to do some creative stuff. Again, one of the biggest things that's a downer to me when I'm watching a presentation, a team presentation, is you might have 2 or 3 presenters, and I'm going to do this first section, and you're going to do the next section, and Joey's going to do the final section. And my slides are red and blue, and Joey's are orange and green, and these guys are pink. Right? That's not visually appealing. Right? You worked on this as individuals, but you need to come together, and you need to make sure that from a visual standpoint, even down to the font that you're selecting should be uniform, right? Your audience doesn't want to see jumping around and all that, okay? So that's one of the critiques I've seen from other presentations. Another one is the lack of transition. So again, I've often seen where you divide up a project. You say you do that third, you do that third, you do that third. You don't ever talk about what each third's actually going to say. And then when I'm done with my third, I just stop. And I kind of look over, and then Donnie goes, "Oh, it's my turn." He steps up and he starts talking. There's no connection from what I said to what Donnie's going to say. There's no transition, right? And if you think about a presentation, if you were to do it well, I should be wrapping up. The audience should be knowing that I'm wrapping up. And then I should be transitioning with a few sentences about what Donnie's going to talk about, et cetera, et cetera. And you set Donnie up, and Donnie steps in and says, "Hey, thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that. Here's what I want to cover with you guys today." And Donnie takes off, right? And then he does the same thing for his final partner. Okay, so that's feedback I would give you. Your attire should match the format of your presentation. If I'm doing a more traditional presentation where I'm standing up here, then my attire should be appropriate. I'm not expecting anybody to wear suit and ties, but you should look professional if you're giving a professional presentation. If you're being creative and you've done something more wacky, obviously you may need to dress differently, and that's understandable. Okay? Find creative ways to engage the audience. Part of the reason I want you to present is so you guys can stand on my side and see how that body language and that body language conveys a message. Okay? You can stand in a professor's shoes for a little while, and you only have to do 5-10 minutes of it. Okay? We stand up here for 2 hours and have to try to engage the audience, and it's tough. So I want to have you find ways to try to engage the audience. It can be simple as question answer. You could ask them to fill out a questionnaire. You could do a little activity with the audience. Okay? It can be pretty simple there. The other feedback I want to provide is good conclusions. You don't think of it that often, but you're going on a nice lecture here, bang, bang, bang. I'm lecturing, everybody's engaged, and I'm done. And so I go from 4 factors of production, and our final production factor I cover, and I stand there, and everybody goes, "Okay, well, what?" And you're like, "No, that's all I got." "Oh, okay, you're done." Right? So again, you should be wrapping things up. How do you wrap things up? You can quickly restate what we covered. You can put up a question answer slide. You can simply say, "Thank you, I'm done. Appreciate your time." There's all kinds of ways to conclude a presentation or to conclude your section of a presentation. If you're in a more creative environment, you don't want to do like a question answer slide, you can stand up and take a bow, right? Then we know your performance is over, sort of thing. So those are my tips. Any questions about just the structure? I know we have questions on content, but questions on the structure. Donnie, can you sit up in your chair? Thank you. Any questions at all? Okay, so the structure is clear. And you guys aren't partners though, are you? Right, you're partnered with David, right? And you're partnered with Tyler. No, not David. David's on the Monday shift. So you're with Tyler and you're with Taylor. Okay. So you won't be able to get much done today with regards to content, but you can start a dialogue with them about, like you said, you're going to probably decide pretty quickly whether you want to do something creative or whether you want to do something traditional. That decision needs to get done right away, and then you got to move on to what content do we want to present. So let's talk a little bit about content. An easy way to select content would be to go through the table and contents of the book and see which parts of business get you interested and excited. Hopefully there's something over the 16-week course that we covered that you're least interested in. And then you and your partner can agree on, this is an interesting topic. It could be, it's anything, right? Business is everything. It's leadership, it's power, it's politics, it's communication, it's factors of production, it's wealth management. It goes on forever. So I don't think you'll have any trouble finding content. I think what you'll have a little more trouble is, and this is where you may have to email me to ask for some guidance, is, hey, we want to talk about this, but it's a really big topic. How do we focus on a piece of that? And that's what you and your teammate need to start thinking about right away. Okay, is what content do we want to cover, and from what angle do we want to cover this content? I'm going to upload this document right here to Blackboard, just to give you some guidelines, just to remind you in case you forget the lecture or whatever. So I think at this juncture, once you make your decision on the format, you need to move into content, and then you need to move into strengths and weaknesses. Hey, I'm really good at PowerPoint. I'm not as good at talking in front of people. Okay, we'll both have to do those things, but I'll let you take the lead on the PowerPoints, and I'll do a majority of the talking. Those sort of layouts of strengths and weaknesses with your partner, I think, are the next step. And then making sure that you can actually get time with one another. And again, we'll take some time in class, but this is going to require outside of class to get this stuff done. Any questions? You awake, Donnie? Spacing out. You ready to go? No questions? Okay. Do you have your guys' phone numbers to your teammates? Okay. All right, so I'll upload this document at break. Let's jump in and cover a little bit more of the PowerPoint, and then we'll stop well before our little fire alarm or a bad weather drill or whatever. So we left off in the middle of chapter 9 here, transitioning to the idea of what techniques, strategies, innovations are happening inside the manufacturing department or the manufacturing industry to make it even more competitive. And so they want to walk through these 4 different areas to help us understand, what they're doing. Computer-aided design and manufacturing has been around a long time, especially on the design level. Have you guys heard of CAD before? So CAD's been around a pretty good while. What's starting to change, though, is this computer-aided manufacturing, and then they're giving it computer-integrated manufacturing. What they're talking about here is now we're not just laying out the layout and presenting a nice picture to the manufacturing people and saying, here's exactly how thick it should be, how long it should be, etc. Here's the designs. They're actually getting those computer designs to be digital and getting machines that will relate then to those digital designs so that humans don't have to create, whether it be templates or dies or casts. They can get the machine to listen to, feed off of these computer designs. And obviously you can imagine how much more efficient that process can be with having computers ready to go and be able, even just think of like 3D printing. How much 3D printing, I was like, how do you even do that? Like, it didn't even make sense to me. But a lot of these plastic components and whatnot can be produced right from a computer and printed, which is really computer integrated manufacturing. Flexible manufacturing, we talked about why we might want an intermittent process. Well, what's also happening is a lot of manufacturers are saying, hey, look, it might cost us a little bit more money to set up our plant and purchase equipment that have a certain amount of flexibility to them. And but that cost is going to help us with regards to keeping equipment utilized, meeting customer demands. So even though we've spent a little bit more, being more flexible is going to allow us to adapt to the environmental changes that are happening. So think about Toyota, and they're going to build, or Honda, they're going to build a plant over here in Greensburg. And they know that the CRV or whatever is going to run out of there. I think it's the Accord. I can't remember what's running out of that plant, but I think it's the Accord. We're going to produce Accords out of this plant in Greensburg. And they could decide to set up equipment in there that only produces Accords, or they could say, you know what, we'd like to go and buy equipment that if we really needed to, we could switch over to their minivan or whatever other car they might have. By setting their equipment up with that mentality, if for somehow the Accord sales drop off, they don't have to idle a plant, lay off employees. They can pick up whatever excess capacity they have, they can now run for this other vehicle. That's flexible manufacturing. Lean manufacturing, we mentioned earlier, and all you need to think about with regards to lean manufacturing is the removal of waste. And I don't know how your guys' brains work, but when I think of the removal of waste, I think of the end product. I think our computer shut down here, so let me restart this thing.